Good afternoon. My name is Shivani Prasad, and today I will be doing my presentation on assignment 2 based on the topic Human Development, a Lifespan Approach in my socio-cultural context. This is for ED152. To begin with, I will start by defining human development. Human development refers to the changes and the process which takes place in an individual's life between birth and maturity. Human development consists of physical and cognitive development. This is where an individual learns, grows, and gains the knowledge on how to interact with the people around them. Human development is a major part of a person's lifespan. This is where a child implements the knowledge they got by the adults and the society around them, and they acknowledge it in their lives. Children start to develop competence at tasks and useful skills, which helps to develop a healthy personality in them. According to Erik Erikson, children start their learning at the infancy toddlerhood stage. The failure to meet success will affect a child's identity and self-esteem. The child is expected to meet the expectations from this stage in order to become self-confident. Children need to be surrounded with people whom they can trust so that they can complete the infancy in the toddlerhood stage with satisfaction and gain confidence, also self-confidence. Okay. I have pasted a figure over here which shows human development. It goes from infancy to maturity age, which is the last stage of our lifespan. It shows how a child grows from the infancy stage, going to preschool, going to college, going to work, the middle adulthood, late adulthood, and then maturity age. How our development grows with gaining knowledge about our language, our culture, our dressing, about the society, about the world, how we gain knowledge throughout our development stage. Okay. So I will be talking about Erik Erikson's 8 stages of psychosocial development, out of which I took two. I took out two stages, which is trust versus mistrust and autonomy versus shame and doubt. This will reflect on the stages infancy and toddlerhood. Moving on, Erik Erikson's 8 stages of psychosocial development. So we can see in the figure over here, it starts from the infancy stage, moves to early childhood, preschool, school, adolescence, young adulthood, middle adulthood, and to the last stage of our lifespan, which is the maturity stage. So a child might come across this effects. Okay, infancy, a child might go through trust versus mistrust. Early childhood, autonomy versus shame and doubt. Preschool, initiative versus guilt. And then school age, industry versus inferiority. Adolescence, identity versus role confusion. Young adulthood, intimacy versus isolation. Middle adulthood, generativity versus stagnation. And then the last stage, which is the maturity stage, ego integrity versus despair. So this is the things that they might go through. This is the aspects that they might go through as they go along in life till the last stage of the human development stage, okay, which is the maturity stage. So I will be talking about I will be briefly explaining Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory. This presentation will reflect on Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory, which I will be presenting where I will be presenting my perceptions and my views on how the theories that I have learned in Module 1 relates to me as an individual, and explain this in my socio-cultural context. Erikson, who is known as a theorist, modified Freud's psychosexual theory into psychosocial theory. Erikson's 8 stages are marked by specific conflicts which shapes individuals, and by resolving these conflicts, it leads to individuals to get good well-being, values, and virtues. Erikson believes that it is very important for a child to go through these different stages in life in order to become healthy and well-adjusted individuals. Children develop into independent individuals by carrying out tasks, experiments to develop their identity and roles. A child develops mentally when they are provided with enough nourishment and affection from their caregivers and their surrounding, which makes them feel loved and cared about. This makes the child feel secure and emotionally strong because of the warmth and the care they are provided with. The economic, social, and physical environment impacts a child's development. The impacts can be negative or positive. These 8 stages of human development by Erikson are trust versus mistrust, autonomy versus shame and doubt, initiative versus inferiority, identity versus role confusion, intimacy versus isolation, generativity versus stagnation, ego integrity versus despair. Children learn to be true to themselves and gain self-confidence through the environment and people around them. As infants, they start to learn how to make decisions and choices for themselves. The infancy stage is where a child learns how to walk by holding on to objects, etc. They also orally sense whatever they see around them, which makes them understand about the objects, etc. Okay. So I will be talking about I took out two stages, which is infancy and the toddlerhood stage. I took out 2 stages, which are trust versus mistrust and autonomy versus shame and doubt. So the first one is trust versus mistrust. This is the infancy stage where a child starts to develop trust or mistrust. A child starts to trust people who are their caregivers if they are provided with adequate love and care. A child as a toddler wants to be heard, feels safe and secure while being around their loved ones, especially their parents and family members, which makes the child feel emotionally connected with the people around them and their surrounding. The child starts to make decisions and recognize their own sense of style. For example, they start to choose their favorite food and give their preference regarding clothes. So this is so true, and we all can relate to this statement. Okay, for when we were toddlers, my parents told me that when I was a young child, when I was in my toddlerhood stage, I used to give my preferences, and I used to cry when certain things were not out of my choices, out of my preference. Okay, for example, some clothes which were bright in colors, I used to hate it, and I used to cry when my parents used to let me wear, and then I used to cry, and then they made me change the cloth. Okay, so I used to hate wearing socks. So when they came to know about this, they stopped me from wearing socks because they knew I'm uncomfortable in it as a child. So the type of food that I wanted to eat, there was some fruits that I didn't eat, for example banana, and which was when I was a child. So this will obviously change as we grow, but when we are still learning, still developing, these are some examples where we will give our preferences. Okay, so this is my example. You all might have different examples, different preferences. Okay. During this stage, the child starts to establish trust and mistrust, which makes the child to either feel secure or insecure around the caregivers and the surrounding they are in. If the child is loved and cared for well, they will feel connected and feel happy while expressing their emotions to people. At this stage, a child also starts to actively develop social skills, for example, playing with other kids, trying to express what they feel by actions, crying, laughing, etc. If a child feels that they are not meeting the expectations of the adults, then the child might feel insecure and detached around adults, which will make them think that they cannot rely on adults. The reactions of an adult towards the choices of a child is very crucial for them. So, when we are children, when we are young, the decisions are not very intelligent. Our decisions are based on our interests, as we are still learning, still developing, still gaining the knowledge of the world. So as we discover more things of the world, our decisions will change, but it depends on how our parents react to our decisions, to our little choices that we make as toddlers. Okay, so this is basically what the statement means. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. This is the stage where toddlers start to develop this sense of independence and security. A child will come to understand whether they have the control over their life or not, which is how they will develop this sense of being dependent or independent. Toddlers start to explore, for example, their abilities and skills and the reactions and feedbacks of their caregivers, which makes a very crucial impact on the child. Okay. This stage is where children are encouraged to make choices and explore the world, which helps them to develop self-confidence, and they start to feel pride in themselves, and they successfully complete their tasks. Excuse me. This stage is where a child goes through its own struggle, and it contributes to their personality. If a child is unable to meet the expectations, and if they are being criticized, this makes the child to feel inferior, and they will doubt their abilities and also might isolate themselves and stop sharing what they feel or want to express. A child's choices and skills has to be accepted by the others around them, so that the child feels secure and confident about the choices that they make. If a child is neglected or ignored by the adults, he or she will feel insecure and stop expressing anything about their choices. This is a stage where a child will develop the sense of independence in themselves and feeling proud of themselves. If the child fails to feel independent, this might have a bad impact on them throughout their life. Okay? Human development and my socio-cultural context. This is 3 figures that I have pasted here. This is from the internet, where you can see a mother is teaching her daughter how to learn, how to read at home, how to study. Okay, she's giving knowledge to her child. The second figure shows a church service, where this is the church which I attend. And this is the third figure shows the type of food that we prefer to eat at home. So this is my culture. My parents believe that learning starts from home, which is true. Everyone starts learning at home. The basic skills, basic knowledge, it starts from home. My mom taught me how to read, how to write alphabets in capital and small letters, and how to put words together to make sentences, how to read. Okay, so I started learning at home, and we all will relate to it. And by going to church, our culture, we learn about our culture, we learn how to interact with people. Our culture also shapes us as an individual. So I love going to church, and I know going to church will make me a better person, and as I go along in life, it will make me stronger and more independent and more confident in life. Okay, this is a food that this is a type of food that we eat at home, which is basic food with rice and dal, and because this is a food that we have been eating since childhood till now. I will be explaining more, which is some examples that I will give on my socio-cultural context. Socializing, I learned about my values and beliefs through interacting with people. Socializing helped me learn the behaviors of the culture, which shapes me as an individual. Playing indoors with siblings is preferred in our culture. These types of interactions can vary depending on the type of culture. Cultural practices and influences on toddlers and infants. Certain foods are restricted for infants and toddlers because of its nutritional value. The infants are being fed with foods which is easy for them to eat and digest. Sleeping practices. I used to sleep with my parents, as in my culture it is believed that this makes the bond stronger between the child and his or her parents. Cultural rituals and practices. By taking part in the celebrations, I gained more understanding about cultural heritage. Engaging with my culture as a toddler, I learned about my identity and gained confidence. Okay, so this is some examples that I wanted to give from my side, from my cultural context. Okay, moving on to I will explain more on my socio-cultural context. The early interactions are very important for the development of children, emotionally and intellectually. Parents make sure to teach their children to make them become healthy, intelligent individuals. The resources received in terms of education can open different opportunities for an individual. As a child, I learned how to communicate, learn, and develop my intellectual abilities at home. My parents taught me how to obey my culture by going to church and by respecting the elders. Being born and raised in Vanuatu, I learned the meaning of family and my culture. The society we lived in taught me how to respect others' culture, and my parents encouraged me to socialize so that I am able to interact and become confident around people. I learned that I have to go to church in order to have a happy life and have God beside me and my family. I was taught not to wear short clothes because this is offensive and disrespectful towards our culture. These teachings help us to become well-behaved adults. Parents talk to their children in their mother tongue, which helps them learn the language even though they can't talk at the infancy stage. Um, yeah, this is true. So when we are infants, we don't know anything. Basically, our learning starts from that time, from that stage. So every day when our parents, when the adults around us, will talk in the same language, we will know that this is the language that we have to speak in. And we will slowly start to learn, start to grasp the knowledge about the language, and we will learn it. And then when we grow, then we will start speaking, start interacting with the same language, start expressing. Okay. um, um, as a toddler, my parents taught me the values and beliefs which is expected from us when we grow into adults. These values will be with us till the maturity stage, and one should never forget about their culture. Eric Erikson believes that the choices of a child when they are infants have to be accepted because the way the caregivers or an adult behaves around the child makes a crucial impact on the child. As an infant, I can relate to this because when I was young, I used to get upset when my parents didn't give me attention, sometimes if they are busy, which made me think that they are ignoring me. But since I was still young, the concept of parents being busy was not in my understanding. Parents have to be attentive towards their infants and toddlers because this is the stage where learning starts from and lasts till maturity. If a child is ignored or neglected, they might feel disconnected from their caregivers and might think that they can't rely on anyone in this world. So at this stage, at the early stages of our life, our mind develops in terms of knowledge, in terms of how we have to behave, our culture, everything. So the basic knowledge that we start, our mind develops at this stage. So when we are neglected by the adults of our family, of our society, of the church, which hardly happens, but if there are some circumstances at home or the society, then the child will feel isolate they will isolate themselves. They will have the fear within themselves. They will feel this they will have trust issues towards the parents, towards the adults, towards the siblings, if they are neglected by the siblings. Okay. So human development consists of these issues which I was talking about. This was my presentation. I hope you all liked it, and I hope you learned something from my culture, from aspects of my cultural context. So this was what I wanted to talk about, the infancy and the toddlerhood stage through Erik Erikson's theory. Okay. This is the video link of my presentation, and this is the references that I took the information out from when I was researching for my presentation. This was all for my presentation. I hope you all liked my presentation. Thank you so much.